Don't wait for a title, create your own through purpose and courage. The world often teaches us to wait. Wait for permission, wait for recognition, wait until someone gives you a reason to believe in yourself. We're told that success is awarded to those who are chosen, to those who have earned a title, a role, or a formal validation. But that is not how real greatness is born. The truth is, no title can make you what you are not already becoming from within. And the ones who truly change their lives and the world are the ones who don't wait to be named something before they begin to act like it. Waiting for a title is waiting for someone else to define you. It's handing over your power and hoping the world sees something in you before you've fully chosen to see it in yourself. But the greatest leaders, creators, warriors, and visionaries didn't wait for someone to tap them on the shoulder and give them a crown. They stepped forward with purpose. They declared with action, not just intention. And because of that, they earned their influence. They built their identity, forged in fire and discipline, not handed out by others. Titles don't make people valuable, people make titles valuable. What good is being called a leader if you never led? What good is being called an expert if you never grow? What good is a nameplate, a badge, or a promotion if your purpose is hollow? The substance of who you are matters more than any label you wear. Titles fade. Recognition fades, but purpose, real purpose, lives on long after the applause ends. You must define yourself before the world ever does. And you define yourself not with speeches or hopes, but with your daily choices. When you choose to act with courage, when you stand for something meaningful, when you refuse to be small even in the face of fear, that is when your identity is built. That is when your name begins to carry weight, not because others approved of you, but because you lived with intention and followed through with discipline. Purpose is the internal compass. It doesn't rely on anyone else to point the way. It doesn't ask for permission. It doesn't wait until the conditions are perfect. Purpose is that fire inside you that says, this matters, this is worth building, this is worth fighting for. And when your actions align with purpose, courage naturally follows. Not because the path is easy, but because it's yours. And when you know you're walking your own path, the obstacles don't shrink you, they refine you. There's a dangerous lie that says you have to become someone important before you can do something important. That you have to be chosen by someone else before you can begin. But everything begins with a choice you make within yourself. You decide to rise. You decide to act like your dreams are real, even before the world believes in them. The world may not see your worth at first. It may overlook your work. It may ignore your efforts. But if you stay rooted in purpose and push forward with courage, the world will have no choice but to acknowledge what you've built. Think of the people who inspire you most. They didn't wait for guarantees. They didn't wait for accolades. They made bold decisions when they had no safety net. They acted when the outcome was uncertain. They became leaders without titles, and the title followed later if it ever came at all. But they didn't need it, because their impact wasn't built on a nameplate. It was built on consistency, authenticity, and fire. You don't need to be the CEO to lead. You don't need to be called a creator to create. You don't need to be named a mentor to lift others. You don't need to be elected to inspire. You can choose to step into your purpose today, and when you do that, you stop waiting and start becoming. That shift from waiting to becoming is where all the power lies. That's where transformation begins. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the decision to move forward even when fear is loud. It is waking up with doubt and choosing discipline anyway. It is hearing your insecurities and acting in spite of them. When you build your life on purpose, courage becomes your companion, not because you always feel strong, but because you know your mission is worth more than your fear. Purpose gives you something greater than comfort to fight for, and courage makes that fight possible. Titles can be taken away. Promotions can be lost. Applause can stop. But no one can take away your commitment. No one can remove your work ethic. No one can erase your internal fire. That belongs to you. And when you create from that place, when you live from that place, you begin to build something eternal, not just success, but significance. Something that lasts. Something that matters. Something that no one had to give you because you gave it to yourself. If you let the world's recognition be your only source of fuel, you'll run out of energy the moment you're ignored. But if your fuel is purpose, if your fuel is that deep why that lives inside your heart, then no silence can stop you. No rejection can deter you. You'll keep going because the mission is bigger than your ego, bigger than your fear, bigger than your need for validation. Create your own title through how you show up, not what you're called. Let your life be the proof. Let your consistency be your crown. Let your resilience be your resume. Let your results be your reputation. Live in such a way that people don't need to ask who you are, they feel it when you walk into the room. Not because you announced it, but because you embodied it. The most powerful people in the world are often the ones whose strength wasn't seen until it was undeniable. They rose without permission. They built without approval. They made something from nothing because they refused to be defined by circumstance. That is available to you too. It is not reserved for the chosen few. It is available to those who choose to believe they don't have to wait. Those who choose to believe they already have what it takes to begin. Every day you hesitate, you reinforce the lie that you are not ready. But every day you act, even in small ways, you rewrite that narrative. You become someone who no longer waits to be chosen. You choose yourself, and that choice is the most powerful title you'll ever hold. Forget what people call you. Focus on what you answer to. Answer to excellence. Answer to service. Answer to discipline. Answer to purpose. Answer to courage. That is the foundation of a legacy, not a name on a door, but a name that echoes because of how you lived. This is not about arrogance. It is about ownership. Owning your role in the life you're building. Owning your choices, your growth, your ambition. Owning the truth that you do not need a throne to rule over your own journey. You are not waiting for a title, you are writing one with every action you take, with every challenge you overcome, with every hour you invest in your purpose. Live like the person you want to be remembered as. Speak like the leader you would follow. Act like the difference maker you know lives inside you. Don't let the absence of recognition keep you from rising. Let the presence of purpose drive you to become undeniable. You have everything you need, not outside of you, but within you. The world may not see it yet, but that doesn't matter. What matters is whether you see it. Whether you believe it enough to begin. Whether you are willing to build when no one's watching, to create without a title, and to fight for your vision without waiting for applause. That is how history is made. That is how legacies are built. Not by waiting, but by doing. Not by asking for permission, but by choosing to act boldly in the name of purpose. So don't wait. Don't shrink. Don't stall. Your life is waiting to be led. Your purpose is waiting to be lived. And the only thing standing between where you are and where you could be is your decision to begin. The time to act is now. Your future depends on it. There comes a moment in every person's life when the weight of waiting becomes heavier than the fear of moving forward. That moment is the invitation, the moment when the inner voice grows louder than the noise around you. It tells you with urgency and clarity that the future isn't something distant and detached, but something being shaped right now with every decision you make or avoid. Every second of hesitation is a brushstroke on the canvas of your destiny. If you continue to wait for ideal conditions, for external signs, or for someone else to validate your next move, you will look back one day and realize the future you once imagined was lost in the fog of delay. The future is not written by the people who think the longest. It is written by those who dare to move while others are still doubting. There is a difference between thinking and overthinking. One leads to preparation, the other to paralysis. And while preparation has its place, it must never be used as an excuse to stall your progress. Too many people spend years mapping the route, analyzing every risk, studying the terrain, and gathering the right gear, but never take the first step. They tell themselves they're getting ready, when in truth they are simply afraid to begin. Action is the birthplace of momentum. Nothing in your life will change until you move. Dreams, goals, and potential are all dormant seeds. Only action can bring them to life. Without it, even the most beautiful vision withers and dies. You don't need a perfect plan. You don't need to see the entire staircase. You only need to take the first step. And then another. And another. That rhythm, action followed by action, is what creates a future that isn't just dreamed about but lived. The time to act is now, because time itself does not pause to accommodate hesitation. The days you waste today will be the regrets you carry tomorrow, and no amount of wishing can rewind the clock. Life doesn't slow down to match your comfort zone. It moves forward with or without you. But when you decide to match its pace, to rise and run alongside it, that is when life begins to yield its rewards. That is when opportunities begin to multiply and the future bends in your direction. Your future is not some static destination waiting to greet you. It is being formed in real time by the choices you make, the habits you build, the risks you take, and the steps you refuse to postpone. You may not control everything, but you control your response. You control your effort. You control whether you act now or wait another year hoping things will become easier. They won't. The truth is, there is no easier version of the life you want, only a stronger, more disciplined, and more courageous version of you who is willing to create it. You must understand this: fear will always be present. Doubt will always whisper. Resistance will always try to keep you in place. But none of these forces can stop a mind made up. When your will becomes greater than your worry, when your determination outweighs your delay, you become unstoppable. That power is within you, not someday, but now. This very moment is a doorway to a new chapter. All that's required is that you walk through it. People often believe they need external motivation to get started. But real motivation comes after you begin. Action creates clarity. Action fuels confidence. Every time you act, you prove to yourself that you are capable. That proof builds momentum, and momentum is what makes the next step easier than the first. But none of it happens until you move. The time to act is now, because now is all you really have. The future is not a promise. It is a possibility, one that you shape moment by moment through the courage to begin and the discipline to continue. Do not wait to feel ready. Readiness is a byproduct of action. You feel ready after you've started, after you've fallen and gotten back up, after you've faced your fears and realized they didn't destroy you, after you've pushed through days of self-doubt and still managed to show up. That's when readiness is born. Not in the thinking, but in the doing. And so the doing must begin now. There are people who have less than you, who know less than you, who started later than you, and they are moving forward. They aren't waiting to be perfect. They aren't waiting for everything to align. They understand that done is better than waiting. They know that imperfect progress is still progress, and that the path forward is paved by action, not by intention alone. Every minute you hesitate, someone else is acting. Someone else is investing. Someone else is learning through experience. Someone else is building resilience through failure. While you sit still, telling yourself not yet, someone else is living the future you say you want. The difference isn't talent or luck, it's urgency. It's the decision to move now, not later. Because the person who acts today will always outperform the person who waits for tomorrow. You must ask yourself, what am I building with my time? If your time is being consumed by distractions, doubts, and delays, then your future will reflect that. But if your time is spent in bold, consistent, focused action, even if it's messy, then you are building a future rooted in strength. Action is not always glamorous. It is often repetitive. It is often invisible. But it compounds. Every small step taken today becomes a building block for what you will stand on tomorrow. Discipline is the bridge between goals and reality. And discipline is not something you wait to feel, it's something you train. You train it by acting when it's hard. You train it by showing up when it's inconvenient. You train it by refusing to let emotions dictate your effort. The person who wins in the long run isn't the most inspired, it's the most consistent. That consistency begins the moment you stop romanticizing action and start committing to it, no matter how you feel. There is magic in urgency. There is power in movement. But you must harness it now. Not when you're older. Not when things calm down. Not when you feel more supported. The stars don't need to align. You need to decide. And when you do, the stars will follow your lead. The universe responds to decisive energy. People respond to decisive energy. Results are created by decisive energy. So stop waiting, decide, and move. Do not let comfort trap you. Comfort is a cage disguised as peace. It whispers sweet lies to keep you still. It tells you that safety is the goal. But there is no real safety in stagnation. There is only quiet decay. The longer you stay still, the harder it becomes to move. The longer you delay, the further your dreams drift. The longer you wait, the louder regret grows. But action silences regret. Action breaks the spell of comfort. Action brings life back to the parts of you that have been sleeping. There will always be a reason to wait. Life will never stop offering excuses, but you must stop accepting them. You must rise above them. You must say, not anymore, not today. Today is different. Today is decisive. Today is the beginning of the rest of your life if you choose to make it so. Every great story starts with a moment like this, a line drawn in the sand, a decision made in the quiet of your soul, a spark that becomes a fire not because someone else lit it, but because you did. You were not born to be passive. You were not born to live on the sidelines. There is greatness inside you, and it is awakened through action, through movement, through the daily choice to step into your potential, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it's inconvenient, even when no one is watching. Especially when no one is watching, let today be the day you stop waiting. Let today be the day you stop explaining your delays. Let today be the day you stop convincing yourself you're not ready. You are ready enough. You are capable enough. You are worthy enough. All you need to do now is act. One step, 1 hour, one focused decision, then another, then another. That is how you build a future worth living for. The time to act is now, because if not now, then when? If not you, then who? The clock is ticking. The world is moving, and your future is not waiting. It is calling. The question is, will you answer? Will you rise? Will you begin? Or will you let another day pass, another opportunity slip, another dream die in the waiting room of some day? You already know the answer. You've known it all along. Now is the time. Your future depends on it. There comes a time when every man or woman must look in the mirror and ask, what am I doing with the power I've been given? Not the power given by the world or handed to you by another, but the silent power that's always lived within you. You were not born to drift. You were not born to stumble. You were born to choose. The moment you understand that your thoughts create your reality, your words shape your future, and your actions command your destiny, you begin to live on purpose. But most people hesitate. They wait for permission, for perfect timing, for signs from the world that it's okay to begin. Let me tell you this, the only sign you need is your own decision. The strongest title you'll ever carry in life is not what others give you, it's the one you give yourself when you choose to rise. You want power? Speak it. You want success? Act it. You want to be more? Then stop asking for a label and start becoming the force that defines it. You don't need a title to be great, you need vision. You need persistence. And above all, you need courage. Every second you delay is a second stolen from your future. Don't wait. Don't wonder. Declare your path. Name your goal. And go after it with the intensity of someone who finally realized that now is all you've ever had. True power comes from within, not from external titles or validation. From the moment we are born, we are surrounded by noise, the voices of others, telling us who we are, who we should be, what success looks like, what failure feels like. We're handed identities before we've even had a chance to think for ourselves. We are graded, labeled, categorized, and compared. Somewhere along the line, many begin to believe that their worth is defined by a certificate, a job title, the size of their bank account, or the praise of others. But real power, lasting power, never comes from any of those things. It rises from a decision within. It comes from the invisible place inside a person where belief lives, where resolve is built, and where purpose takes root. You are not what others say you are. You are not the sum total of your accolades or your failures. You are not the job you hold, the car you drive, or the followers you count. You are potential in motion. You are an idea in action. You are the embodiment of resilience, creativity, and spirit. Every human being was born with this power, but not all will discover it. Not all will nurture it. And the tragedy is, many spend their lives chasing the external while ignoring the source of true greatness inside them. Titles can be given. They can also be taken. They are fragile, temporary, subject to the whims of people and time. But the strength that comes from knowing who you are and why you do what you do, that is unshakable. That kind of power doesn't fade when circumstances change. It doesn't vanish when you're doubted. It doesn't shrink when you're criticized. It grows under pressure. It shines in adversity. It refuses to quit because it was never built to. Think of the people who have made history, not the ones who inherited their positions or stumbled into the spotlight, but the ones who earned their legacy through struggle, through clarity of vision, and through relentless inner belief. These were people who were underestimated, overlooked, even ridiculed. They didn't wait for someone to hand them influence. They became influential by choosing to listen to their own inner voice instead of the noise around them. That voice, the voice of courage, the voice of intention, that is the birthplace of all success. You must stop searching for permission. Stop waiting for validation. There is no one coming to tell you you're ready. Readiness is a decision, not a feeling. Confidence is built, not given. If you want to be great, if you want to lead, to inspire, to create a life that matters, it must begin with the recognition that you already have what it takes. Not someday, not after you achieve something. Right now, in this moment. But you must claim it. You must stop hiding behind excuses. You must stop waiting for the right time, the right people, the perfect plan. You must understand that action precedes clarity. Motion precedes momentum. You grow stronger by doing, not by thinking about doing. You become powerful by facing resistance, not avoiding it. This inner power is not loud. It does not boast. It does not scream for attention. It whispers in moments of doubt, keep going. It stands tall when everything around you tries to break you. It gives you the strength to say no when compromise tempts you. It is your inner compass when the road is unclear. It is the reason some rise while others fall. It is the reason some endure while others quit. It is the difference between simply existing and truly living. Do not make the mistake of believing that just because something is difficult, it is impossible. Difficulty is the price of growth. It is the evidence that you are pushing boundaries, that you are doing something meaningful. No one ever became strong by staying comfortable. You must learn to lean into the challenge. You must embrace discomfort as the signal that you're on the edge of expansion. When you rely on the external, the applause, the status, the image, you become a prisoner to approval. You'll rise and fall with people's opinions. One day you'll feel unstoppable, the next day invisible. But when you build your life from within, your sense of power is constant. It becomes your foundation. You don't need to prove yourself, you just need to be yourself, fully and without apology. You become driven by vision, not ego. You act with purpose, not performance. You lead with integrity, not insecurity. Real power means knowing what you stand for. It means being willing to be misunderstood in order to be authentic. It means choosing growth over comfort, long-term vision over short-term praise. It means working in silence while others wait for the spotlight. It means failing forward while others freeze in fear. It means being relentless not because you're fearless, but because you've decided your purpose is greater than your fear. There will be moments when you feel like giving up, moments when the world seems indifferent, moments when progress feels invisible. That is when you must return to your source. Remember why you started. Remember that the dream inside you was placed there for a reason. You were not meant to live small, to shrink, to be average. You were born to rise, to lead, to contribute, to leave this world better than you found it. But it will not happen by accident. It will happen by decision. Every day you must choose to show up with intention, to fight for your dreams even when it's hard, to stay disciplined even when it's boring, to speak truth even when it's unpopular, to keep moving even when no one is watching. This is how power is built, brick by brick, habit by habit, moment by moment. You do not stumble into greatness. You step into it, one decision at a time. So take the pressure off needing to be impressive. Forget trying to meet everyone's expectations. That is a losing game. Focus instead on being impactful. Focus on doing the work that matters, living the values that ground you, pursuing the path that lights you up. That is where your power lies, in your decisions, in your resilience, in your willingness to be the author of your own life, not a character in someone else's story. You are not too late. You are not too old. You are not underqualified. You are not too broken. The only thing you lack is the belief that you can begin and the willingness to prove it to yourself. Everything you seek is already inside you, the clarity, the courage, the strength, the discipline. It's not out there in a title or an award. It's within you, waiting to be unleashed by commitment and consistency. And once you tap into it, once you truly believe, the world will begin to respond in ways you never imagined. Opportunities will appear. Doors will open. People will be drawn to your energy. Not because you chased recognition, but because you chose alignment. You chose authenticity. You chose to live from within. That is true power. And it has always been yours. Thoughts, words, and actions are the foundations of personal destiny. Every great achievement, every failure, every turn in a person's life begins with a thought. Before any empire was built, before any invention was born, before any life was changed, it began in the mind. The human mind is the birthplace of all creation. It is the soil in which the seeds of destiny are planted. A single thought has the power to uplift, to destroy, to change the entire course of a life. Yet, most people allow their thoughts to pass unnoticed, unfiltered, and uncontrolled. They let fear, doubt, distraction, and outside voices dictate the mental environment in which their future is shaped. They underestimate the power of what they allow to live in their minds. Thoughts are not harmless. They are builders. They are architects of the life you will live. Whatever occupies your mind consistently will eventually show up in your reality. If your thoughts are negative, fearful, and filled with limitations, then your life will mirror that energy. You will speak doubt. You will act hesitantly. You will attract situations that confirm your fears. But if your thoughts are filled with purpose, possibility, and determination, then your words will reflect strength, and your actions will follow with power. That is how transformation begins, not by changing the world around you, but by changing the world within you. Your thoughts become your words. What you allow to take root in your mind will eventually find its way out through your mouth. And words are not just sounds, they are declarations. They are blueprints. They are spells that shape perception and energy. When you speak, you program your subconscious. You instruct your mind on how to interpret the world, how to respond to challenges, and how to approach your goals. People speak themselves into defeat far more often than they realize. They say, "I can't, I'm not good enough, I'll never make it," and with those words they lock the door on their own potential. They speak limits into existence, But you can also speak your power. You can choose to speak life into your circumstances. You can declare strength, progress, faith, and resilience. And the more you speak it, the more your mind believes it, and the more your body aligns with it. This is not blind positivity. This is mental conditioning. Champions do not rise because they are lucky. They rise because they train their minds to lead, to persevere, to see opportunity and struggle. They speak victory long before the scoreboard shows it. They speak courage when fear is loudest. They speak purpose when others are speaking panic, and that voice becomes their compass. Then come actions, the final and most visible piece of the puzzle. Thoughts are the root, words are the trunk, but actions are the branches and fruit. Action is where your inner world meets the physical world. It's where dreams stop being abstract and start becoming tangible. And make no mistake, destiny only honors action. You can think the right things and say the right things, but if you do not move, if you do not act, nothing changes. Action is what separates the dreamers from the doers. It's what divides the wishful from the determined. It's what builds character, momentum, and ultimately destiny. People often wait until they feel ready to act. They wait for inspiration, for clarity, for a sign, but action itself is what creates readiness. It is in the doing that confidence is built. It is in the movement that direction becomes clear. Waiting keeps you stagnant. Acting moves you forward, even if it's messy, even if it's imperfect. Every step you take, no matter how small, is a vote for the person you want to become. Every decision to move forward in the face of fear is a message to the universe that you are serious about your purpose. The connection between thoughts, words, and actions is not accidental, it is sequential. One fuels the next, and when all three are aligned, they create a powerful force that moves mountains. A person whose thoughts are disciplined, whose words are intentional, and whose actions are consistent becomes unstoppable. They become a creator of outcomes rather than a victim of circumstances. They begin to shape life rather than react to it. But when these three are in conflict, progress is blocked. If you think one thing, speak another, and act in contradiction to both, you live in inner chaos. You sabotage yourself. You start goals you don't believe in. You make promises you don't keep. You act from fear instead of from vision. And life begins to feel random, out of control, unfulfilling, not because it truly is, but because you've lost alignment between your mind, your voice, and your effort. To take control of your destiny, you must take responsibility for your inner world. Begin with your thoughts. Guard them like a fortress. Refuse to let negativity build nests in your mind. Choose your focus deliberately. You cannot control every thought that enters your mind, but you can decide which ones you entertain. And what you entertain, you eventually become. Feed your mind with ideas, with truth, with strength. Train it to believe in what is possible, not just in what is probable. Train it to hold faith even when evidence is lacking.